All right, in today's video, I want to talk about using the Evo Lite Plus and the Mavic 3 professionally for videography and photography in real estate, predominantly. That's most of what I do every single day, and that's one of the reasons why I would grab either the Mavic 3 or the Evo Lite Plus on the daily. So I'm going to tell you what I think about them and which one I find myself gravitating to a little bit more. Let's get started. What's going on, everybody? Ken here. You're watching OriginaldoBo, and if this is the first time here on my channel, I am a professional real estate videographer and photographer out of Tampa, Florida. I've been doing this for about 4 years. A lot of what I do does happen from a drone, and today I want to talk about which drone I do prefer. These are two of the hottest drones on the market today. We have the Evo Lite Plus and we have the Mavic 3. Even though I've had a lot of negative things to talk about and say about with the Mavic 3, I still do think it's a great aircraft, and I'm going to tell you why it works very well for real estate and what I've learned with it over the past couple of weeks. Now, really quickly, if you want the abridged version, head over to my TikTok. It's at OriginaldoBo on TikTok. That's where I'm putting out some of these videos in 60 seconds or less. All right, with that being said, let's just go ahead and jump into overall photo quality. All right, so photo quality is something that a lot of times I don't think about because I am so focused on video, but as of recent, a lot of real estate agents haven't done a lot of video with me because houses are selling so freaking fast. You just don't need a lot of video. Photos do more than enough to sell a listing. And if it's just doing photos, I typically will gravitate towards the Evo Lite Plus if I'm just doing photos. I think the photos out of the Evo Lite Plus have a tremendous amount of detail. If I'm punching into something like 200% or more, you can really see the amount of definition and detail in these images. Not only is there an immense amount of detail, there is good color rendition. One of the problems I used to have with my Mavic 2 Pro is, well, after I got done processing and editing the photos, greens would look more yellow than they would green. And that was one of my biggest complaints with that drone. It would turn everything sort of like this nuclear yellow. And then I would have to do post hue corrections. And it's just more of a workflow thing than I wanted to actually add. But with the Evo Lite Plus, I don't find that to be the issue. I think it looks great. And I think the images look really, really amazing for what they are. Now, that's not to say that the Mavic 3 doesn't look equally as amazing, because the Mavic 3 does look equally as amazing. The photos are crisp, detailed, good amount of sharpness in all the images, and most importantly, greens are actually green. They went ahead and fixed the color science on the Mavic 3. So now after I'm done editing, I don't have to find myself doing more post edits to change the hues or the overall saturation of the image. One of the biggest things when it comes to shooting aerial photography is being able to maintain a fair amount of contrast. If you start losing contrast, it's going to appear that the image is desaturated. Neither one of these drones really lose any amount of sharpness, which is a good thing. Both of them look great, and no matter what condition I've flown these in, all the photos have looked really, really solid. Now, I do want to go ahead and clarify something on these images. I do shoot all of my photos in auto bracketed exposure. Now, I shoot in AEB, and one of the downsides to shooting AEB is there's a little bit of a time in between each exposure where the image could shift, or you could lose a little bit of sharpness, and you could introduce ghosting. Now, I don't recommend shooting AEB if you're around moving objects, because those images will never be in the same place twice. But when it comes to real estate photography, I think AEB is fine, because that way you can expose for the ground, you can expose for your highlights, and you're going to get a perfectly exposed image after you bring it back into post. Now, you can also opt to just shoot in the HDR photos, which is going to be a single exposure shot. I don't do that because I like all my images to look consistent across the board, but it's totally up to you. But either or that you choose, I don't think that you can go wrong with either the Lite or the Mavic 3 when it comes to photos. All right, let's talk about video, because this is where things get very different, and this is where I get very, very sort of biased towards the Mavic 3. All right, so when it comes to video, there is no contest. The Mavic 3 is the best choice when it comes to real estate video. There are some unfortunate things when it comes to the Lite version, and those unfortunatenesses are unfortunatenesses. The unfortunate part is that there is no 10-bit color in the Evo Lite Plus. There is no log footage in the Evo Lite Plus. Now, if I'm just doing casual vlogs or traveling and I don't really need that extra dynamic range, I'm not delivering something to a client, the Evo Lite will work just fine. If I'm shooting a house that's like a house that probably shouldn't have a video and I'm not wanting to do an immense amount of editing, the Evo Lite Plus will be fine because I can just use the standard color and that's perfectly fine. But if I'm needing something that is going to give me that extra pop, that extra dynamic range, easier to match between my cameras, then the Mavic 3 is absolutely the best route to go. The D-Log footage looks great. The D-Log starts at 400 ISO and it also has the 800 ISO. In all of my time filming, I've never found it to be an issue filming at 400 ISO or even 800 ISO for D-Log. I've always found it being easy to accommodate to and adapt. I've not once had an issue with that. I know a lot of people have complained about that, but I've also noticed a lot less noise and issues in the D-Log. Now, this is the loggiest of log footages that I've ever seen on a Mavic, which means it is a lot tougher to color grade. But what I've actually found is color grading these, I will either use a Sony S-Log3 LUT or a Panasonic V-Log LUT, and I can get the colors to look pretty damn close to what my other cameras look like, which is absolutely awesome. So, is it hard to color grade the log footage on the Mavic 3? No, it's just, it gives you a lot of flexibility in post, and it is actually pretty easy to bring back colors and detail if you underexpose something. But if you overexpose the images on the Mavic 3 D-Log, it is difficult to come back from that. Underexposure, fine. Overexposure, you are going to struggle retaining certain information, but it is doable. It's just, it takes a little bit of finesse, but once you understand the workflow of the new D-Log, you are absolutely going to love it. It's amazing. The other thing I like about it, because it is 10-bit, I can push and pull those hues around, which I did a property a couple of days ago, and the agent asked me if I can green up the grass in the photos, and I said yes. And we were doing video, and she was telling the owner that the photos are gonna look different than the video because we won't be able to match the grass. And I told her, no, we'll be able to match the grass. It shouldn't be a problem. We'll just push and pull the color hues around until we get it where we want it. And boom, voila, we were able to change the hues in the grass, and she was happy, the owner was happy, and you couldn't do that with the Evo Lite Plus because as of right now, it only shoots 8-bit. Now, there is talks about them adding creative profiles, and supposedly this drone is capable of shooting 10-bit. However, that's going to come in a future update. So we'll have to revisit this when they do include that. But as of right now, when it comes to video work, the Mavic 3 is just bar none, leaps and bounds more efficient when it comes to real estate video. For everything else, the Evo Lite is absolutely a great drone, but when it comes to video, it's really hard to beat the quality coming out of the Mavic 3. All right, let's just talk about some of the miscellaneous items that I wanted to go over between these two drones. Obviously, it wouldn't be an Evo video, a Mavic 3 video, if I didn't mention geofencing. Geofencing is another reason why I sometimes will choose to utilize the Evo versus the DJI version. Simply because if I have length authorization and I have authorization to fly in restricted airspace, I have to go through quite the hassle with the DJI. Now, yes, you can pre-plan your routes and you can pre-unlock things by going on the website, but one of the things to keep in mind, and all of you real estate photographers probably are no stranger to this, is the fact that some agents will call you same day or maybe 24 hours before, and you don't really have time to plan other than getting your advanced authorizations to, fly in an area, than to actually go to an area and then have to go through all this pre-planning crap to get the authorization unlocks with DJI. So using the Evo makes that a lot easier. It's just one less thing I don't have to worry about. I can just get up in the air, get the images, and get down. Now, if I'm doing video, I may want to pre-plan that, but most of the agents, again, are just asking for photos. So that's where this really comes into play. The other thing to consider is, as of right now, there isn't a smart controller for the Evo Lite Plus. There is one for the DJI Mavic 3 with the Pro controller. It does make a big difference. Now that they have updated and fixed the disconnect issues, I do like the fact that I can just take it out of a box. I'm ready to go, start flying, and I don't have to sit there and fiddle around with the phone. So that is something that I do like about the Mavic 3. And then of course, there's one last thing. It's the slow GPS issue. As of right now, this drone, the Evo Lite, can lock GPS like that. I mean, it's almost insane how fast I can boot this up, lock GPS, take off, shut it down, boot it back up again, and take off again for a second time before this thing even locks 10 satellites and be able to start taking off. Now, a lot of people say, well, just start taking off in the air with it and get it up to about 20 feet. Stop doing that. Stop doing that, because you are going to be one of those people that are going to be crying in the comments when your drone just locks and takes off because it all of a sudden has a flyaway. That is how flyaways occur. When a GPS drone doesn't have enough satellites, and when it locks satellites, the mother effer is going to take off on you, and you are going to be holding your RC in your hand, waddling back to your car, searching for a drone that probably hit poor little Johnny down the street playing baseball. Stop doing that. I don't want to read about you on freaking Drone XL or something. Don't do that. Don't be that idiot that takes off. Let it go through its calibrations. Let it gain the correct amount of satellites. Taking off and letting it hover is a great way to have a fucking accident. That's like the pilot on your plane saying, hey, we didn't check the landing gear, and we didn't do a cross-check and all call. And by the way, we are out of peanuts on this flight, so we're going to just take off. We're going to wing it. We're going to see if we can make sure we can do cross-check as we're climbing. Like, don't do that. Be responsible. Wait till it gains satellites before you take off, and you won't have a flyaway. All right, that's going to do it for this video. Those are the reasons why I've chosen either one of these. I still find myself gravitating towards the Mavic 3, even though I do have some gripes with it. I think a lot of the gripes were fixed in the previous firmware update, but we still have the GPS issue. GPS issue is something that I have to deal with. Luckily enough, filming real estate, I'm filming static objects, and they're not moving. However, once this gets that second version of the software and they start really pushing out version 2 and phase 2 of the updates for the Evo Lite, this could become an absolute powerhouse. They've already talked about the creative updates that they're going to be pushing to this. This is going to get immensely better. So it's just one of those things that we're probably just going to have to be patient for. Just like we had to wait for great updates for the Mavic 3, it's no different on the Evo Lite. All right, that's going to do it for today's video. If you found any enjoyment out of this video, hit the like button, subscribe. I will see you in the next video. And as always, wait for it, wait for it, wait for it. Stay original.
I heard they checking for me, no one checking on me, so I had to go run up a check. I got the message on me, ain't no flexing on me, my attorney gon' call and collect. Blessings on blessings for me, my successes only made them envious, they got upset. I had to put all their egos in check. I want the money, the power, respect, and